Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, tonight the Platform Sports Talk Show presents to you the Man Cave. My name is Stanton. I'm your host for the evening. I am not here alone. I never am. I got my brothers with me. I'm going to bring them on in. We're just going to get this thing rolling. I want to bring in Sadal. I want to bring in T-Bone Funk. And I want to bring in my man, Brendan. Yeah. Breaks. We're going in straight up. How you guys doing? What's up, fellas? I'm missing two faces.
I feel great.
What's going on?
Yes.
What up? What up? How's the week going? It's Wednesday, halfway there.
It's going for me.
Halfway there. It's been a crazy one. I don't know about you guys, but I still don't. Is it just my connection?
Man, you are lagging, man.
Yeah, I think it's just you saying.
You need to grab a Snickers.
Well, while we wait for people, thank you all for in. Thank you.
Not going anywhere for a while.
I'm lagging.
Grab a Snickers.
My internet is slow. Well, that's sad.
Yes.
I'm just gonna keep. I want to thank you all for tuning in. If you're watching us on YouTube, for tuning in. If you're watching us on Facebook, tuning in. If you're tuned in on Twitter, thank you for tuning in. If you are listening to us on Hot 365 Radio, thank you for tuning in. This is Wednesday of the month. We hold it down. I feel like I need to put more bass in my voice. That's what I'm going to do right now. If you are watching us on Roku, thank you for tuning in.
Stanton's connection needs some milk.
Yeah, because it's a little weak over there.
Yeah.
Can you guys? Internet is lagging.
Yes.
Are you still using dial-up, Stanton?
Need some milk.
Some AOL.
Right.
So what I am going to do. Wow, it's really lagging.
You might have to use the phone joint, man.
You know what? Hey, I'm the last of a dying breed over here, apparently.
I'm gonna step in here, man, while Stanton gets his internet connection rolling, man. We're gonna get into it, man. Hey, so here's a little segment that we like to start off the show with, and it's called What's the Word? What's the word, fellas? What's been on your mind all month here? Yeah.
I mean, this month we'll say the Blues. I mean, the streak they've been on. You know, they had a 16-game point streak. Robert Thomas 17-game point streak. I think Tarasenko's I'm gonna be wrong on this, like 13, and Booch was like right around there too. Cameron coming in with the tweets. I'm not a Mets fan. Never have been. Never will be. Especially after today. We'll get into that. But no, the Blues. That's they just been rolling. Bodies going in and out with injury. But it looks like they're getting hot at the right time come playoffs.
And that's the way it's got to be, man. You know, you in the playoffs, and I don't care what kind of playoffs it is. You know, any sport, the hottest team going in usually has the best chance. So, T-Bone.
Well, you know, I've been catching some of the local sports stuff over the past. Let me get these glasses off. I know the little light's gonna be bothering everybody. So, by the way, let's say hi to Miss Williams. I saw that she, shouted us all out there. So let's say hi to Miss Williams. Yeah, as far as for me, I noticed something on the past few Cardinals broadcasts I've been watching, and they're bringing up the trio of Wainwright, Molina, and Pujols, and they're talking about how this is an iconic trio, and it made me think. I don't think that's really the iconic trio, because as much as we want to retroactively put Wainwright in there with Molina and Pujols, I feel like the iconic trio. And by the way, I get why they do it. They're the ones that's there. But would you all think that the iconic trio of the Cardinals over the past, close to 20 years really would have been Carpenter, Pujols, and Molina? Just a thought. Just something that popped in my mind.
I think that's fair. I actually think of Edmonds, Roland, and Pujols.
Yeah, but I mean that was a brief period. But what made me think about it was the fact that like Carpenter was there. Carpenter was hurt the 04 season, if I'm not mistaken, but Carpenter was there and actually pitched in the 06 World Series and pitched in the 2011 World Series. Wainwright was hurt the 2011 World Series, and he was a reliever or the closer, I believe, in the 06 World Series, right? So
yeah, I think he was like a second-year player.
Yeah, and then remember, Pujols left after 2011. So while Wainwright has been there, the past so many years, I mean, during the period where they were really the hottest, one of the big teams, Wainwright really wasn't there for the majority of that in the role that he's in now. So that was just one of the things I was thinking. Nothing to take away from him. Obviously, he's a great, great pitcher. He's got a lot of good stats. He's had a lot of good seasons, a lot of good years, and done a lot. But I think that I'd give the nod to Carpenter as far as being the pitcher of that trio.
I mean, if Carpenter was still pitching to this day, I think that's what goes into it. I think when they talk about the iconic trio, it's just like they were around then, they're around now, and those are the three. So I think that's what they were getting at now is like if you wanted to lump the best pitcher when they all played together, probably Chris Carpenter. But I mean, yeah, Wainwright was a rookie in 06. I think he pitched the year before, but
yeah,
if any, and he was there from 06 to, I mean, now he didn't pitch 11. He had Tommy John surgery that year, I believe. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you're necessarily wrong on if you're going to lump the better pitcher in the time they played, it would be probably Carpenter. But I think they reference the iconic trio because they were there to go there in 06 and they're there now.
To me, it seems like because Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright are so iconic together over the past, so many years, that when Pujols came back, it's kind of like everybody's retroactively placing them as this larger duo when, like I said, he was a reliever for those first, few years when they were, between 06 and 11. So then, and he didn't pitch in the 2011 World Series. So that's just where I was coming from when I was thinking about it. But yeah, totally agree that obviously those are the three iconic players because of, they mean to the Cardinals as a whole. But, it was just something that just made me think when I kept hearing it on multiple broadcasts.
Yeah. Just reading some of the comments here. Joe, our very own Joe, says Carpenter ain't playing now, though.
I get it. I totally understand why. I get it. Because obviously they're the ones who were there. You can make, you can build interest with those players on the field. I get it. It just made me think, were they really an iconic trio?
But I tell you what, all of this talk about who's here, who's not, who's been here, there's one constant in that whole equation. Molina. He's been there throughout the whole thing. On his whole 19-year career. So there you have it. So what's on my mind? Just when you think the NFL offseason has slowed down, they just pull you right back in it. Now we've got players using their bully pulpits in social media, wiping all of their respective teams' information off their social media in protest. I want a new contract. You know, and so that's what we're seeing. So the latest is Debo Samuel, out of T-Bone's beloved 49ers. Now he wants a new contract. And it is just setting up. At first, it wasn't gonna, it's gonna be like a lackluster NFL draft. Now you want to tune in to see if there's gonna be any wild trades or anything. Because as it stands right now, there's really not a lot of talent, notable talent, I should say, in the draft right now, as far as first, second round or so. I guess they need some kind of excitement. And so Debo Samuels has thrown his hat into the ring, if you will, of bringing in, trying to fatten his pockets and getting his deal. And so that was been on my mind. And so now, before I really didn't care. I'm going to watch the NFL draft regardless, because I'm a football fan. But now I'm really intrigued about what's going to happen then on night one of the draft.
Yeah, so in regards to, real quick, we got Joanne commenting, more of the stories they've won championships together and they're back together. This is in regards to the iconic trio. Yadi and Wayno have been with the team for almost 20 years, which I think we all agree that was what she was meaning, or what we were trying to intend. But and then back to what I was gonna mention something about Debo. Correct me if I've heard this wrong, because I've been a little behind in football, but I think I saw something like Debo said he wanted to be utilized better, and I feel like he's utilized perfect.
Here's the deal with that, because this is what has been grinding my gears. Everybody knows everything. Rumors abound. There's rumors all over the place. We don't know if the man said, if that man said he didn't want to run, and he just wanted to be primarily a receiver. We don't know that. It's rumor. It's rumor right now.
So if that rumor, like, what if that is true? Like, wouldn't you think he would? I mean, just common sense. I mean, to me, it is like, if you can be utilized as a running back, wide receiver hybrid, Patterson of the Falcons, like he has, wouldn't you think that would get you the bigger contract?
Yeah, well,
no,
because it's a niche. It's a niche, and it's hard to price a niche in the market. And when you're primarily a wide receiver, you've got a baseline of where you should be in your contract. You know, Christian Kirk blew up the whole wide receiver market by signing. With his signing, I think I forget where he signed.
Did he sign with the Jaguars? Like
Jaguars.
4-year, $80 million contract?
Yeah, so he just blew up the market. So all of those players is like, I'm better than Christian Kirk. How the hell he get a contract? Let me see if I can get my money. And so now you've seen all of these wide receivers doing, going to social media and wiping off their stuff. And it's just like, it's just ridiculous, but
imagine if we could do that. Imagine if we could take to social media and say I want to be paid more than another company just picks us up.
Right.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, it would be nice, man. It's crazy to me.
Look, he can do that. I mean,
does that work?
Yeah, I mean, but didn't we just see this like last year with Aaron Rodgers? Like, players do stuff like that all the time. Like, this is nothing new. And by the way, as a long 49ers fan, we have a history with wide receivers who somewhat do questionable things as far as their behaviors. One of my favorites, T.O., comes to mind. But
push-ups in the front yard.
Well, but like, I think that if you have the ability to like I said last week about about what's his name from SLU, like, if you have the ability to go test the market, go test the market. He doesn't really have the leverage, so, but if it results in him getting something better, good.
I guess it's the new age of social media, man. I guess that's how you handle it nowadays.
What does it really mean with social media, though? You take your stuff off and strip your social media. What's it mean? Nothing.
Exactly. Here's my thing, man. Let the business people handle it. Let your agent handle it. You know, you going throwing a temper tantrum on social media ain't really doing nothing, man.
I mean, that ain't the world we live in, though. That's every athlete is like, I can do better than you can almost. Like, I got to showboat this. I want to showboat that. Whether it works or whether it doesn't, there's no repercussions of it. So, I mean, they just, like kind of like he was saying, like, you know, Debo does that, gets attention. Maybe he gets what he wants and gets out. Maybe he doesn't. And if he doesn't and he ends up a 49er, you think they're not going to be happy to have him back? I mean, I'm sure they'll be happy to keep him.
This just happened in WWE, by the way, with Mustafa Ali. Back in January, he went public saying he wanted to be released from his contract. And this was around the time where you would think, like, well, they have released a bunch of people over the past couple of years, so maybe they'll release him too. And they're like, now what?
Yeah.
And he just came back on Monday Night Raw a couple days ago. So, look.
And we got a couple of comments here. Cameron Wright says, that doesn't make sense. Any job, the more skills you have, the more money you make. He said the Colts would love to have him. I bet a lot of
he's a Colts fan.
The Colts would love to have.
But
have some better luck.
Well, oh, I see what you did there. Oh man, see why you got to do that, T-Bone, man.
What? Look. By the way, you know, as a 49ers fan, that means I'm an Alex Smith fan, and when Alex Smith played for the Chiefs, that was a lot of luck. And apparently that luck came too early because it didn't last long.
He said, you may know about this. Chris Pronger has a great write-up on athlete play. I would be vocal about my contract too.
Yeah, it's I actually haven't had the chance to even go read it. I probably should, but that was cold T-Bone from Cameron. Yeah, it's like Cameron. Too soon for him. But no, yeah, I mean, pretty much what Pronger is saying is just, you know, there's nothing wrong with people coming out and saying that they, you know, they should get what they want. They've not. That's kind of a poor way to take it, but they earn it. And there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. I mean, if your job is on display for everyone to see, yeah, you could say let the agents handle and everything, but there's nothing wrong with you being vocal about it. If you're unhappy, you're unhappy. And if people can see you mess up on your job day in and day out, if you have a bad night or can't see how great you are, I don't see any issue with being vocal about if you want out, if you don't feel like you're being treated properly or anything along that lines.
You know what? Also thinking about this, the players are kind of, this is one of these things where it's not necessarily the best system, but the players don't help themselves, because what's the one thing that a player does not want to happen when their contract is about to come up? What do they not want to happen?
Injury.
Yeah.
Franchise tag.
That too.
In regards to football, yeah.
But the franchise tag gives them kind of a premium pay, but it's like for a year. But if it's actually in their benefit to have 1 or 2 year contracts, you know, like, because what happens is you sign a contract, somebody's going to sign a contract this year, and then 2 years into a 4-year deal, somebody's going to get a contract that is way better than the contract that this person signed 2 years ago. And they're going to see that and say, wait a minute, I should be getting that money because I know I'm better than that person, or I'm at least competitive with that person. So when you have a 4-year contract and 2 years into it, somebody's got a better deal, then that's what triggers well, wait, I'm gonna hold out until I can get a better deal. But you know, at the end of the day, you sign that contract knowing what it was, and you only get jealous once you see somebody else making a lot more money. Remember when Flacco was like the highest paid quarterback, and everybody was like, Joe Flacco's the highest paid quarterback. Wait a minute. I'm gonna get me a better deal too.
Yeah, you know, that's the name of the business nowadays as far as professional sports. I think this is a new trend that's here to stay, unfortunately. But up next, we have a little bit of MLB talk. We're gonna get in a little baseball, and to kick us off, Brendan, what are your thoughts on the early baseball season? We got baseball. What are
Yeah,
your thoughts?
I mean, it's here. Thank gosh, I was going crazy waiting for it to come up. But early season, it's always hard to take. There's teams that perform above expectations. There's teams that perform below expectations. Early season thoughts are in regards to the Cardinals. They look mediocre so far. For overall, they hit really good to start in slow sense. I think it was like before the third or fourth inning today. I forgot. I don't even remember which inning they kind of started going, but they had like nothing but singles, like 3 extra base hits in the last 200 at bats or something. It was something crazy. But overall baseball, I watch a ton of baseball outside of the Cardinals, and I think that my overall thing is we need to bring back the non-dead ball, because we're seeing a lot of games where balls are just getting smashed and they're just dying. And while that can be fun, pitching duels are fun sometimes. I probably like them more than the casual fan, but
yeah,
it's just not good for the game. It's just you're going to want to try to bring in people, and that's not going to do it.
Yeah, I heard about that. That the ball has been juiced or something again. They're trying to get a little McGuire Sosa effect or something going on.
Well, they need to bring it back, because last year they split it. It was like half the season they had a dead ball, half the season they had a juice ball. This season it looks like they're starting off with the dead ball, and I've seen people say it's like hitting rolled up socks. Like you connect and the ball just dies so far. So, I mean, it's rough to watch. It was yesterday's game. I think Goldschmidt and O'Neill back to back hit like almost 100 miles per off the bat. The launch angle was at the, like they said, if you take the exit velo with the launch angle last year, that was homers. And in April, not like when in the middle of summer when the ball flies. In April, they were homers, and I mean you can tell it's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, that I forget the player that hit that game-winning home run for the Guardians. It went like 459 feet. He crushed that ball, man. I think they said it was the longest game-winning home run in like so many years.
Yeah, was that Buxton with the Twins?
Buxton.
It was like 469.
I think it's Twins. Like I'm sorry, it wasn't the Guardians.
It was like 469, and he Yeah, I mean, I've seen absolute missiles, but then I've also seen people hit a ball, and I'm like, oh, that's gone. I turn around and look back, and it was a fly out. It's like, oh, okay. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, hey, and some other news. We got some milestones reached. Miguel Cabrera hit his 3,000 hit, man. Joins the 3,000 hit club.
It's a lot of hits.
3,000 hits, 500 home runs.
Yeah, I think they said I'm going to get this total on. He's like one of 7 players, I think, with that 3,000 hits, 500 home runs, and or maybe it was like that. Maybe it was adding like he's also got a career 300 average or better, which. That's just like, I mean, he's Hall of Famer. That's all there is to say.
Oh yeah. I think he's first ballot Hall of Famer. No question about that. So it's rolling. And I heard, speaking of Cardinals baseball, and their bats haven't been lively, but they were lively this afternoon. Heard that there was a dust up. Going on in Busch Stadium. T-Bone, what have you heard on that front?
This is why it is very important to watch sports from start to finish, because I saw the game a little earlier, but I had on in the background. I had a couple meetings I had to do, and then by the time it was in the 8th or 9th, and I was like, oh, yeah, they got this. Go, leave, come back right before this show starts. I'm alerted. Oh yeah, there was a dust up, and I'm like, what? When did this happen? And I see it happen pretty much right after I stopped watching the game. So yeah, I mean, it looked to me like all this kind of started last night because there were several players. Well, I know that there was a player that was hitting the head from the Mets yesterday, and I know that
Pete Alonso.
Yeah, see, I can't remember the names, but I remember that some of the Mets players started coming out last night, but none of the Cardinals did. And then it seems like the bad blood and the remembered history between the Mets and the Cardinals seemed to play itself out because it was a pretty big dust up, as you say, out there on the field today.
Just a little bit of dust up, kicking up dust. That's all it is.
Yeah. Did you see the reliever Giovanni Gallegos hop the fence of the bullpen instead of opening the gate?
Yeah, it's like, dude, there's a whole gate that swings open. You can just like walk through it. No, you wanted to hop the.
Yeah.
Hey, that's like you know somebody's ready.
He was ready to go.
Speaking of hopping fences, did you see the players from the Guardian out there in Yankee Stadium getting into it with the fans?
Yeah, that was. I mean, I hate to judge a fan base by one person, a couple hundred people. It's not fair to the people that are good fans. But man, it's just like I feel like it's almost every year or something with Yankees fans. Like you can heckle, but they just take it to a different level.
I just think it's just our society after this whole pandemic, man. Everybody's on edge. You got people clowning on planes, messing with Mike Tyson, and
that was nuts.
Like before all of this, there was no question you don't mess with Mike Tyson.
Well, there was that one time where a guy released a song saying he thinks he could beat Mike Tyson. But other than that.
But have you actually seen someone physically try Mike Tyson?
No.
Not until last week.
Just why? Like why? I think that's a social media problem because the friend was recording, talking about everything, narrating, and then after it happened, he's still like, "Hey, turn to the side, show you, yeah, he's messed up. Yeah, got him." Like, come on, man,
man. These fans need to chill, man. This social media has gotten people too bold, man. Just because you can say things and on social media don't mean that you have to act this out in live and in living color. And on Mike Tyson, no less. You lucky Mike Tyson didn't kill a man.
Maybe if he would have done that before Tyson did that the what do you call it, exhibition fight a couple years ago, maybe he would have got chill. Mike Tyson is just like, oh man, we're all cool. Now he got Mike Tyson that's trained and boxed somebody over a couple years ago. Who knows if he's still actively training or not?
All I had to see was Mike Tyson air boxing. That's all I needed to see. Miss Williams says, everyday guy versus Mike Tyson. Bad idea.
But what was Mike Tyson's famous quote?
Everybody has a plan till they get punched in the mouth.
And punched in the mouth he did.
Yeah. He chilled on that real quick. Speaking of chill, let's go to the ice. Let's talk about hockey. Brandon,
Yes,
I know you're the guy for this, man. I've heard that the NHL playoffs have been heating up on the ice.
Yeah, we're getting there. Like I said, Blues got one game left Friday against Vegas. Vegas is still trying to get in, so we could be playing a hungry Vegas team unless they they play tonight or tomorrow. I don't remember. Or maybe it's Minnesota that plays. Yeah, it's Minnesota that plays. They could have. I'm going crazy right now. Sorry. Minnesota plays tonight, who we're trying to get home ice from. Vegas, I think, also plays tonight. And they're still fighting for a playoff. So, I mean, Blues could be getting a hungry Vegas team trying to make it in on that last game, or we could be getting a team that just got eliminated. But, yeah, I mean, I think the Eastern Conference is completely set, like matchups. They got everything going. I was going through it the other day. It's going to be some good matchups, and I believe playoffs should start middle next week, I believe. I don't know if they released the schedule. I haven't seen anything. But, yeah, looks like we're just the Blues, and in regards to the Blues, we're just trying to lock up home ice, and they've been playing good.
Well, now let's see. Now I am not too familiar with hockey, but I do have this little invention called Google, and I'm going to read off some of the teams that are in the hunt right now. We have the Panthers.
Probably your President's Trophy team.
Yeah. Got the Maple Leafs, the Lightning,
Awesome.
who has always been in and winning championships. Bruins is in the hunt as well. And Sabres, that's out in the Atlantic Division. Now, in the Metropolitan Division, we have the Hurricanes, we have the Rangers, and Penguins, of course, and the Capitals, who are vying in the Eastern Conference there. All right. Now, in the Western Conference, we have the Avalanche, the Wild, of course, St. Louis Blues, and the Predators out in the Central Division. Now, in the Pacific Division, we have the Flames, the Oilers, the Kings, and the Golden Knights. There's some of your leaders right now vying for playoff spots, and there may be more I may be missing. But
Well, right
what do
now,
you
it's
think?
Dallas and Las Vegas are trying to get in. They're trying to get in between each other.
Yep, those are the last two teams. I think Dallas holds the spot, and I think they both got one game left. Again, I'm not mistaken. I was just watching one of their the Vegas Dallas game last night.
And if the Blues would have won last night, we would have had the advantage over Minnesota, right?
Yeah, so I mean, we technically have the tiebreaker against them. So if we tie, we'll get that home ice. But yeah, I mean, the Blues, if they would have won last night, we wouldn't have had to worry about Minnesota losing.
Yeah.
We need them to not lose a game. We need to win Friday, or they need to lose both games.
Now,
home ice.
Last night when I was watching it, what jumped out to me was early on in the game. I think it was, it was early on. I didn't see the context because I was looking away and I looked up and I just saw this puck and it was going towards the Blues goal. And there was nobody there. And at the last second, it was saved from getting in there. And I was like, man, that was close. And then I saw how the game ended.
Yeah, it was a delayed penalty on. Yeah, it was a delayed penalty on Colorado, and puck just got pushed back into our zone, and it was Scandella that dove to keep it out. Yeah. I think unfortunately he left the game hurt, and he's been playing really good lately. But yeah, I mean, it was a tough one last night. Their fourth goal in to start the third period, like 10 seconds in, was the killer. If they don't get that, Blues had 2 goals by O'Reilly to make it 3. I think he's now 1 goal away from 20 goals, and that would put the Blues at 9 20 goal scorers, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Now, here's a question for you, Brennan. What is your confidence level, 1 to 10? 10 being very confident on the Blues' chances to go all the way this year.
I mean, considering they've only won 1, I mean, it's tough to be that confident. But I mean, the team's good. Like when they play their game, which can be said about any team in the playoffs, when they play their game, they're not going to beat them. But I think that reference back to almost having 9 20 goal scorers, like first line, second line, third line, anybody can score. They can score quick. Defense can score. It's all about just, the Blues aren't going to play that kind of game that they played when they won in 19, where they won because of their physicality and their defense. It's going to be a little the opposite. The Blues are going to have to win by probably scoring 4 or 5 goals a game. We're not going to really see them win many 2-1 games just because their goaltenders haven't been that lights out. I mean, they've played good, but with the defense and the goaltending, I don't think they're going to win a lot of 2-1 games.
Yeah, last night wasn't his best night.
No, Bennington, I mean, he's been better as of late, and he struggled. I know he struggled in the Coyotes game. There was a lot of bad play on the defense there, but I think your game won starters too, so I don't see how it's not.
But yeah, every time I've been watching, I've noticed that They can score quick. It's not quick as sudden, as JR would say. But, you know, they go in there and it's like you never know who's going to score, but they will score. Every time I see them do a power play versus another team, like their power play looks like they've got that like down pat in the way that they're, you know, moving. And it compared to other teams, it looks like that's an obvious strength. And I believe that do you know what their ranking is as far as power plays? I know that they're also ranked highly as far as defending it too.
Yeah, they're top 5 in both. I think their power play, I believe, is the second only to the Toronto Maple Leafs, who's got just the Maple Leafs have Austin Matthews scored 60 goals this year. That's like they're lethal, but I think the Blues come in at second right behind them.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, this has been a great show so far, man. And if you're just tuning in, you are listening and watching The Man Cave, presented to you by the Platform Sports Talk Show. Tune in every Wednesday night. It's your Wednesday night sports delight. 7 p.m. Central Time. You can see us on all the platforms, on Roku, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Hot 365 Radio. Shout out to all the listeners listening in on Hot 365 Radio. I am Sadal, and I am hosting right now while Stanton is getting some milk for his internet connection, and I'm also joined by our Man Cave co-hosts, Brennan and T-Bone.
Hey.
So, yes. And so now, next segment, I think we're going to get into a little bit of NFL talk, a little NFL action for you. And so now, tomorrow night is a big night for all NFL fans and NFL franchises who's vying to get that Lombardi for the next year, get that talent, is the NFL draft. Night 1 from Las Vegas. And just the draft alone, to be honest, kind of lackluster. Not a lot of big names in there. But what's making it just so exciting is all of these possible off-season moves here, you know, possible trades and things that can happen. You know, we mentioned it before, Deebo Samuel wanting a new deal, wanting out of San Francisco. Allegedly, rumors, wanting out of San Francisco, wanting that big deal. Will a team like, say, the Jets trade for him? Will the Colts throw their hat in as a surprise?
You said the Jets?
Yes, the Jets are a front runner right now.
The Jets made some.
They're
big,
out there as potential spots of throwing a deal in there.
If a team wants to leave the San Francisco 49ers and go to the Jets, this person only cares about money, because they cannot care about winning, because that's not going to happen. Not in this lifetime and not in the next lifetime. As a matter of fact,
you got Saleh, the head coach. He knows Deebo Samuel's very Saleh.
Who?
The head coach for the Jets.
The who? The Jets?
Yes.
Is this an NCAA team?
No.
Triple
A? NFL team.
Is it AAA? It's AA, isn't it?
No, it's NFL.
No.
Not JVL. NFL.
The CFL?
No.
XFL?
You
no,
know,
they're not even that good.
You're doing this, and if the Jets pull off a coup to get Deebo Samuel, because it's rumored right now that they are willing to make that offer that the 49ers cannot refuse to get Deebo Samuel. This could happen.
Listen, as I stated last week, if a team like the Jets wants what?
Oh, we got the bold right here. He says Cameron Wright has thrown a hot one at you. He says the Jets will have a better record than the 49ers this year.
The only way that will happen is if Andrew Luck says, "Just kidding, I'm coming to the Jets. I won't be able to play here. Forget that neck injury. I was just kidding. I just didn't want to be in Denver or in Indianapolis. I mean, but
Oh man,
you know, I'm just saying. We talked about this a couple weeks ago when we talked about if a player is going to get traded. Would you rather trade them to a worse team or get the better deal? And I said both if possible. And this is the exact possible because the Jets, they have to have a high draft pick. I don't even know what the draft board looks like, but I know they're up there. They got to be top 5, maybe top 3. Oh, number 4. Number 4. Okay. So yeah, get the number 4 pick, trade them away. Trade them. You can find wide receivers. You can find somebody. And when you have a team that was as close to getting to the Super Bowl as the 49ers were, not too many other teams like that, somebody's going to want to come and play. So use what you do and upgrade. He can upgrade and he can go to the JV team.
Keep in mind, I just want to keep in mind, the draft itself it is wide receiver rich in the draft. So there's a lot of great wide receivers. It's wide receiver heavy in this draft. So teams got to keep that in mind. Do you want to give up the farm for one Deebo Samuel, or would you wait and take your chances and get equally, I don't want to say equally good, but a talented wide receiver later on in the draft?
Well, think about it like the transfer portal. Would coaches rather prefer to get an unknown freshman, or would they rather get a player that's already been in the NCAA that's played that they know is good already? Which one is that? I think people would rather have the proven commodity than the unproven NFL commodity.
Yeah, but then also you gotta keep in mind that to get somebody like Deebo Samuel, you gotta give up a lot of picks. Is that worth it? Now I know if you're the Rams, you say F them picks, but not everybody's the Rams. Some people love their draft picks and they value those draft picks.
USFL?
NFL, buddy.
In regards to the Jets, though, I saw this earlier. I'm looking it up right here. So the New York Jet free agent signings, they signed the number 3 rated free agent offensive lineman, number 7 rated free agent cornerback, the number 4 rated free agent safety, the ranked number 2 free agent tight end, and then they also added another tight end in Tyler Conklin, another defensive end. So they made some big signings. Like they got people coming in, and I think they got a good wide receiver core. I'm a big fan of Elijah Moore. Probably for fantasy purposes, he helped me a lot last year. And then they got also, I think his name's Braxton Berrios, who had a couple really good games last year. I think if you add some O-line protection, Zach Wilson, I'm not going to say he's going to be top 10 like Cameron said, but I think Zach Wilson's better than what we saw.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he's better than Sam Darnold.
It's unfair to judge a young quarterback when you know how to line.
AFC East standings. Buffalo, 11-6. This was last year, of course. The Patriots, without Tom Brady, 10-7. The Miami Dolphins, 9-8. And the New York Jets, 4-13. This is not a team I need to worry about.
I didn't say they were going to be a playoff team.
I would say this. There was a 4-12 team that went to the Super Bowl the next year. But, that's old news, right? Cameron's just taking shots. Oh, what have the 49ers done? Oh,
went to the NFC Championship game, which is more than 3 other teams can say.
Yeah, that's true. Man, but hey, and then yeah, the Colts. Now to their credit, I
see you 9-8. All right, I see.
Now to their credit, they gotten rid of a bad egg at quarterback. They tossed him over to Washington, and they got Matt Ryan. They picked up a great veteran quarterback that has Super Bowl experience.
I like Matt Ryan, but I don't see him having success at this stage. Although I could have said the same thing for Matt Stafford. I saw that commercial. Did any of y'all see that Matt Stafford commercial? I can't remember what the brand was for, but he was talking about trading in a phone that you've had for 12 years and have some great memories and something like that, only to trade it in for a new team, or I mean a new phone or something like that. And then winks at the camera. AT&T.
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Now, hey, and you know what? Speaking of quarterbacks, and I guess he's been forgotten, but another storyline in this whole offseason draft is Baker Mayfield. Where is he going to go?
I love Baker. I don't know. So I adopted the Browns when the Rams left. Figured I'd start at the worst team and grow with them. And then I was a big Baker fan in college. So seeing him not there, or he's technically still there, but he's not going to be their guy. But I don't know. It was hard to it's going to be hard to keep rooting for the Browns. As much as I like Deshaun Watson, I don't know if I like the trade. But who needs a quarterback? Because, I personally think Baker's a starting quarterback. I mean, maybe that's biased on my end, but I don't know where he ends up.
Is he a starter?
Baker to XFL. Hey, as long as it's the St. Louis XFL team, I'm down.
Yeah, I don't think his ego would not allow him to play in the XFL.
No. I said, the Jets aren't good enough to be in the XFL. Okay. Like, the XFL, I think, is going to be better than what people are. Because, last year, or not last year, the years are blending together now, but when the XFL came back, it's not like it was bad football.
It wasn't. It was actually enjoyable to watch. I enjoyed it.
I'm biased because I actually had Battlehawk season tickets, and it was rocking in there, man.
I was trying to get a game, and that didn't work.
Man,
2023.
2023.
Have they confirmed that we're getting a team? I don't think they've even announced that.
They haven't confirmed any teams. No,
that would be crazy if they give out if it's not one of them here. But
I would be very surprised if they don't bring the Battlehawks back to St. Louis, because they've been the number one moneymaker when they, in their first iteration of the XFL here in St. Louis. So it would be foolish. It would be a bad business move to bring them back. They'll be back. They'll be back here.
And plus, I think a lot of people recognize that the void that the Rams kind of left in St. Louis as far as the football team, and saw this is an opportunity. This isn't something you just pass up.
Yeah, it's a perfect spot. Like, you got a fan base that loves its sports, even when they're bad. Look at how they supported the Rams. When they were terrible, and it's just, you got no football team here, and like they shown in the first 4 games, like that all we wanted was a team here to call our own, whether it's the XFL or the NFL.
I'm glad the Rams made it back into the NFL after all those years in the AFL.
Yeah. So, what did you say for the Rams?
Nothing, don't worry about it.
See, when you was messing with the Jets, it was cute.
What kind of show we got? A Rams fan, a 49ers fan, and a Browns fan.
Hey, that's what makes a good show.
Hey, this is the man cave, man. This is what makes it a good show, man.
I agree.
And we got a Colts fan in the comments, So hey, but I think the battle. But I wanted to. Miss Williams, I wanted to go to a Battlehawks game, but it was shut down by COVID before I had a chance. Mm-hmm. That was actually the game that they were going to unleash all of the upper bowl seats in the dome, and you would have just imagine you would have saw 60,000 fans for an XFL game. It would have blew all of the naysayers out of the water. Because, now they're like, XFL, they don't draw any fans. Then they would have came to St. Louis, like, oh my God. 60.
Yeah, that's why that's I have some people that I've talked to that pretty much said, the XFL, Vince McMahon and his vanity projects, it's never going to succeed. And the thing is, it was working And it was about to work even better, especially in St. Louis, until everything happened. And then, people took that as validation. Like, I told you it would never work. A football team that, you can't have crowds. That's not the reason it failed. It failed because people don't like it. It's like, no, it was about to become a lot more. But
Yeah, the world was about to shut down, let alone a football promotion.
yeah, hopefully 2023, the XFL 3.0, makes it stick this time.
Absolutely. And now speaking of a great, upcoming football league, let's talk about the USFL. What are your thoughts on the USFL so far? Yeah, or have you been watching?
Question: Is that? Sorry, is that the one Jeff Fisher's coaching in?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mr. 79.
All I've seen is just St. Louis journalists, I guess, making fun of how high scoring his offense has been in the first couple games.
Yeah, USFL. I'm sorry. I saw a couple of games, or at least tried. It's terrible. It's terrible. It when we talk about the talent that was in the XFL, they didn't cross over into the USFL. It's terrible. No fan base. I think they're trying to play all their games in one spot. Quarterback play is horrendous. The scores are like the final scores is like 13-7, 16-3, 10-0, and it's just like, this is lame, man. Yeah, put it out of their misery. I hope they just end it early, like the other league. But it's not even good as I think it was the American Football League.
Yeah, the AFL.
Yeah. That league was better than this one.
I didn't even watch any of that, so I can imagine the USFL is probably not good. So
it's something when you can't even find it on the list of more sports on the ESPN app. I'm like, the XFL is there.
You see Little League World Series before you see that.
IndyCar Series, rugby, chess.
They're trying to revive it from the 80s. Everything
Super
from
netball.
The 80s. Yeah, right. It's just like everything is not going to work, guys. Don't do it. But anyway,
it's last thing I got to say on that is it was another, I think, Jeff Fisher quote that said, like, if you turn your back for 3 minutes, you might miss 3 touchdowns. And it's like, that seems to be the complete opposite of what's going on.
You might miss 3 interceptions.
I'm gonna have to watch some highlights if it's that bad.
Esports.
You'd be lucky to see a pick 6. Now that's excitement.
Cricket. Badminton.
He's still going on to sports.
Snooker.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I don't either.
Why haven't we talked about snooker on that?
Are the Jets good enough to play snooker?
See, it's a pool game, and I almost said something, and I try to stay, fairly PG rated here, but so I won't say what I was gonna say. Cut that out. But yeah.
Well, that's it for football, right? Let's get into some excitement, like the NBA playoffs, man. NBA playoffs has been heating up so far, man. Look, this is the way it stands right now. You see it on your screen for the viewers on our YouTube watchers.
Was that unintended heating up?
Well, yes, because the Heat has advanced out of the first round. They beat the Hawks, and they are moving on to the conference semifinals. And we have, speaking of Heat, we got the Suns up on the Pelicans 3-2. We have the Mavericks up over the Jazz 3-2. Warriors over the Nuggets right now 3-1. They're playing tonight and I think that's gonna be a foregone conclusion for the Warriors. And we have the Memphis Grizzlies playing against the Timberwolves, which is been a heck of a playoff series right there. On the East, we already mentioned the Heat advancing over the Hawks. 76ers up 3-2 over the Raptors in a tough series there. The Bucks are handling Stanton's Bulls right now, 3-1. I think they're playing tonight, and they're going to win tonight. And, oh, my goodness, the Boston Celtics swept. The only sweep right now so far in this NBA playoffs over the heavily favored before the season started Nets. And that team simply blew up at the wrong time. My goodness. So I just want to get your thoughts. I don't know if you all have been following this NBA playoffs, but what have been your thoughts so far, if any?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big. I catch games when I see they're on. That's mainly my area of basketball. But no, I mean, the Celtics kind of manhandled the Nets. I didn't really see anything. I saw a lot of the scores. Seemed like some games might not have been too close, but didn't someone on here have the Nets making a good run? I don't remember if they did. I feel like when we had that discussion, someone said the Nets were going to make a good run, and to them not even show up and win a game, it's kind of bad.
I can tell you this, man. I've watched at least half of these games, and I have followed the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, they pretty much did a move similar to what the bad boy Detroit Pistons did on Chicago Bulls Michael Jordan. And they did that against Kevin Durant. I mean, it was just like swallow Kevin Durant up. That's what they did. That defense has been playing lights out. And because of that, they are the new favorites right now in this NBA playoffs. I mean, team ball to the fullest degree with the Boston Celtics. I am thoroughly impressed with them. On the flip side, the Nets, I am thoroughly disappointed, man. It's just been lackluster, man. First of all, you have a team that really hasn't played together all season long. In
more than one way, by the way.
Right. You had Harden traded in the middle of the season. Kyrie Irving has played at least half of the games because of protocols, the vaccine protocols and things like that. And then Ben Simmons, who they got from the trade from the 76ers, has pretty much sat the bench the whole time he's been traded. And that's a whole other set of a can of worms there. So, I mean, it has just been a disaster. And then, of course, you have a coach there, Steve Nash, who hasn't coached on any level ever. His first year coaching. And it shows when your team is being dominated as they were by the Boston Celtics. You got to have an answer. Got to have an answer for that. To have your team respond. He had nothing. He just stood there like a statue the whole time.
But to be fair, because when we talk about the Lakers and we talk about LeBron and we talk about their situation with all the injuries and everything, if Ben Simmons is out, can you really fault the coach for not having, for having everybody out there? You can't fault the coach if they're not winning, if the coach doesn't have all the pieces that he thought he was going to have, one way or another, whether it was before the trade, after the trade, whatever. But if everything isn't functioning the way that it was envisioned, that's not on the coach. The coach had nothing to do with any of this.
And the coach got to get your team ready, man. You know,
But
regardless.
the coach can't pull a rabbit out the hat. Like if your team is if you go by video game stats or whatever, if you got a team that's ranked 75 based on what they have out there on the court, and the other team is ranked 90, it's a pretty good chance that the team that's ranked 90, unless something drastic happens, is going to be able to beat your team. Like, just going straight off what you got. You got the pieces that you got. If your best players aren't cohesive, they haven't worked together, they haven't played together, one of them hasn't been on the court, that's not on the coach.
Fair enough. But in any case, one person that has played his game but has to leave is Brendan. Brendan,
Yes,
I know
sir.
you have some prior engagements you got to go to. So, hey, thanks for joining us tonight and giving us your insight tonight on the Man Cave.
Yes, sir, guys. I'll be tuning in. I'm getting some housework done, but everyone, have a good night, and see you fellas next month.
All right.
And then there was two. Man, it's just our lineup has been depleted. We're like the Nets, man. What are we doing?
Right. Are we gonna blame Mr. Producer? Because no, we're not gonna blame Mr. Producer. We're all gonna be like, okay, we're gonna figure out and do what we can do, and we'll make it work.
Yeah. I don't know. But hey.
But because we talked about this last week with with Spoelstra. Like, you gonna fault him because and I can't remember, the name is popping off my head right now. Who's been sitting out for the Lakers off and on?
AD.
So he's been out. They haven't had their team at full strength in the way that it was envisioned. Plus, they got a bunch of gargoyles and statues that aren't really producing the way that they probably wanted. Yeah, I said it. And I mean, is it his fault? No, he shouldn't have been let go. But you know how they have to play the blame game when something happens with KD, who, look, he can't just do everything on his own either. So I don't, if we can't say it's all on one player or one coach, look, the team this wasn't their year. Things didn't come together. That same team could probably come back next year and do just fine once they've had time to, blend together.
But I tell you what, they've had some characters on that team. It was just some outlier situations.
Yes,
that has happened to the Nets. I mean, Kyrie Irving, he's so disappointing. He could be so much more if he really wanted to play out there, if he really wanted to go and had that killer instinct, but he doesn't. He just kind of does what he wants to do. That's what he want to do. You know what I mean? So I think that's what makes it disappointing, man.
Didn't KD have some words for Barkley? Didn't they have a little back and forth?
I heard that there was a back and forth. I did not see it.
I saw the pictures that he posted. I saw the pictures that he posted of Barkley in the 76ers uniforms and the different pictures like that. Basically, again, I didn't see the full context, but it basically seemed like, look, you ain't got a championship. You ain't really got a chance to, you ain't really got nothing. You shouldn't be talking about championships. And so.
Oh yes, I think I remember now. Is it Barkley is calling KD a bus rider and not a bus driver?
This wouldn't be the year that I make that argument, because again, can you really fault him out of everybody on the Nets? Can you really fault him? But I would say bus rider does seem like a pretty good description, because he rode with those Golden State Warriors. It was not, he may have what was the MVP of the finals one year?
Technically he was MVP, but
yes. like I said, he wouldn't have done that if it was his team. He had a well-established team and he fit in with the team, but it wasn't his team. So, I don't think that he's done anything that's produced that on his own, kind of like what people would have said about Kobe and Shaq. They also won separately from each other. So you couldn't really put that on either one of them. But yeah, until he does something on a team where he's the focus, he couldn't get it done with the Thunder. So when's he going to get it done? Same with Harden.
I'll tell you what. I don't know. And then you have Ben Simmons. The case of Ben Simmons, man. How do you explain what is going on with him? Is it mental health?
No.
Is it his physical health? Is it he just don't want to do? He doesn't have the killer instinct on the court. What is it?
I don't think that that's fair. And I brought this up the other day in the chat. I don't think it's fair to criticize him because we wouldn't criticize Naomi Osaka. We wouldn't criticize Simone Biles when they decided, you know what? Right now, this isn't what I need to do right now. So I don't think that that's something that. Okay.
Here's the difference in that. Those two ladies came forward and expressed what was going on with them. Ben Simmons did none of that.
I thought
he's just been prancing and gallivanting with his.
At some point, he did
on the sidelines.
At some point, he did say it was mental health. And by the way, another difference between them and him is he contractually has to be there.
Yeah,
he has to be there in the face of everybody.
Yeah, he has to be there. But does he have to be on the bench right now? They say he says it's a back injury, which if you're an athlete, it's hard to diagnose a back injury unless it's you. Only you can diagnose the back injury fully and how bad it is. If it was a knee or something like that, docs can look at it and see what's going on structurally, what's happening. But with the back, you don't know.
I mean,
it's just his word against everybody else.
I think that's also unfair too, because if you have a back injury, should people be punishing you and saying, "Oh, you got a back injury. You should have had a knee injury." Like, no, nobody would say that. Like, if he's got a back injury, he's got a back injury.
That's true.
And they said he had a herniated
disc.
disc.
Simmons, though, we're talking about.
The doctors, if I'm not mistaken, they said he had a herniated disc. That is something you can diagnose.
That's true.
But
he's claiming his mental health is causing his back issues. Which one is it, man? Which one is it?
Well, wait a minute. Hold on.
He's almost like the boy who cried wolf. Yeah, I mean, it may be a credible threat out there, but it's the boy who cried wolf, man. He's done this in when he was with the 76ers.
Well, wait a minute, though.
It's a pattern. It's a pattern since his college days.
But wait a minute. Remember when Derrick Rose had his knee injury and he sat out for an extended period of time? Everybody talked stuff about him too. Like, oh, he's just sitting out. This is what I'm saying. You can't say it's just because of a back. Because when Derrick Rose sat out because of a knee injury and wasn't mentally ready, people criticized him because he wasn't ready to play on his knee. Again,
I think T-Bone, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, but you're taking all of this in a vacuum.
And by the way,
you're not taking into account his history of this.
But how do you know all of that wasn't mental health to begin with?
Listen,
and by the way, Dwight Howard.
You know what the responsible thing? If he was really responsible, if this is truly his mental health, he needs to say, "Listen, I'm going to take a step back away from the game of basketball to deal with it. I'm not going to put my team in jeopardy and in this waiting game. I'm not going to put my team bring them into this. The more responsible thing to do is to take a step back and step away from the game." Why don't he do that?
I don't know if things are always that easy. Like if people could deal with problems that they're having as that easily, there'd be a lot less people employed to help people deal with their problems.
I'm telling you what, Kevin Love did it. DeMar DeRozan did it.
Well,
They dealt with mental health issues too, but they did it the right way.
But let me ask you a question.
They came forward and said, "This is what's going on."
Out of the 4 or 5 people that you can probably name off the top of your head that did do that, how many players do you think are in the league that didn't do that probably should have? I'll give you an example. Dwight Howard, when he went to the Lakers the first time, probably should not have gone and played. His back was messed up, and he was never the same after he had all those back issues. But maybe if he would have been mentally tougher or whatever, he probably would have been able to say, you know what, I'm not ready to do this, whatever. How many players have played on messed up injuries that wind up costing them in the long run? Like, I don't know if that's necessarily fair. Mental health, physical health, people make bad decisions with physical health all the time. And if you have mental health issues, I don't know if it's fair to say what you should or should not do.
So you have no problems with what Ben Simmons is doing right now. You have no problems with it. There's no issue. No issue.
I think that he is a person who, based on his contract, is obligated to be where they told him to be, and people don't like to see him there. And maybe for his mental health, he kind of came up with the attitude of, I don't care what people have to say, so I'm just going to do whatever to make people say more. I don't know. People react to things differently. I don't know. Like, if he wasn't there and didn't have to be there, would you still feel the same way? Like, if he was out of sight, out of mind?
I would feel better if he would have just take his team into consideration, be more mature about what his actions are, and realize that he's under a microscope, whether you like it or not, because he is a talented basketball player, and because of that, he's under the microscope, and so he should be more responsible and say, listen, now let me step away from the game.
Dude is 25 years old. How many 25-year-olds do you know can easily communicate? His brain, his body has just fully developed at 25 years old. He just hit that point where everything is finally where it needs to be. I don't know.
But you know what? It's not fair, but that's the way it is in sports right now. But besides all that, Nets are out of it. But there are some good teams and good players that are standing out in this playoffs. And one of them I want to point out is Ja Morant. This dude is younger than him and balling out, taking over games. Did you see the game the other night where he posterized? I wish we could show highlights on this show, where he simply posterized my man. I forget his man's name, but I see his face on posters. And then towards the end of the game, he scored 13 straight points. I think it was 13 straight. I think the last 13 points for the Grizzlies, and including the game-winning shot where he had to go over and around the defender there to score the basket. I mean, he's showing a lot of heart, and I don't know if you caught his game.
I have been focused on the Blues and the Cardinals over the past few days. So every game I've been watching lately has been those. The Ben Simmons story intrigued me. That's why I started doing research on it to see, like, okay, what was the origins of all this? So yeah.
I think with Ben Simmons, you're getting bits and pieces of it, and you're not really seeing the full picture of what's been going on over the past few years, and to put it in context. Because you're not wrong in what you're saying about, situations, but to put all of his history together, I think if you saw that, I think you would have a different take on that. But that's okay. That's all right. But This NBA playoffs has been pretty good. And guess what? The Lakers are not in it.
Where's
Particularly the LeBron James.
Where's my kazoo? Where's
I almost forgot LeBron James is not in the playoffs. What? Can't believe it.
I can. I said that before the season started. They're not making it to the playoffs.
You really didn't believe that. You didn't believe the Lakers was not going to make the playoffs.
Do we need to run the tape? I mean,
you
maybe
I seriously think everybody just. I think you may have said they're not winning a championship.
That's
you
probably
can say that, but to not make to miss the playoffs
entirely.
I
don't know. I think I need to go back because I may have said that I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think I said that in the beginning. Fair that it's more likely that I probably said that they weren't going to win the championship, but I feel like I said that they weren't going to make the playoffs.
If we can bring that up the next time for when the next man cave, I'll stand corrected.
Look, we need an archiver. So
right.
pull up these thoughts.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, you might want to take a peek at the NBA playoffs. It is really being competitive. Teams have been really playing hard. I mean, it's hard to really name a winner in this thing. I mean, you have the Grizzlies that are hard, a tough team. Warriors have reemerged out of the darkness and trying to take their rightful spot right on top.
Now, wait, talking about the Warriors.
Yeah.
What was it about the Warriors that brought them back together this time for the playoffs?
Being healthy.
They had all their pieces working together, working cohesively. Now, in their case, a lot of those players have worked together for years, but everybody's come back at the right time. This year has been a year where they've been able to, build things back up from where they left off, 2 years ago, basically? Before, what was it? Who got hurt first? Steph or who got hurt first? Klay Thompson, or was it Steph?
Thompson? I think it was Klay.
Yeah, Klay got hurt, and then when he was basically coming back, Steph was basically out. So they've had a couple years off.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, they have come together on the Eastern Conference. Of course, we talked about the Boston Celtics. They emerged. The Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler and them boys. Everybody forgets about them, I guess, for some reason, but they always are in it. And you already mentioned Eric Spoelstra, who's one of the great coaches right now. And then, of course, the defending champions, not defending champions, but, the champions, I think 2 years ago, the Milwaukee Bucks. So, yeah, NBA playoffs, man, that was that. I think the last segment of the night, I think we've come on to the last segment, but before that, let me do one more thing before we go into the last segment. I want to give a shout out to the ladies at Ladies Night. Every first Wednesday of the month, you can catch the ladies talking about sports on these networks of platform sports talk shows. Of course, the Platform Sports Talk Show, you can catch it every Wednesday night. It is your Wednesday night sports delight. Tune in on Roku, on YouTube, Facebook, all of those platforms, and, of course, on our new platform, Hot 365 Radio. And shout out to all our listeners listening in tonight on Hot 365 Radio. We are glad you have joined us tonight. It has always a fun show. Even when we go down, people go down, but we keep the party going. Kind of like you what we've been doing back in the day, just me and you talking about sports. And now we're really going to have a flashback now with this last segment because
whoa, wait a minute, because we talked about ladies' nights coming up next week, but
Yeah.
did we talk about what's happening next week on ladies' night?
What's happening on next week on ladies' night?
Did you know that there was breaking news about 5 days ago that we are going to have a new lady on the panel next week?
Oh, word.
I don't know. I don't know if everybody's seen this, but from what I've seen, this is a big deal out here. You know, there's going to be a new name added to the panel. You know what? I won't even say it. I'll just tease it. Just let everybody know. Tune in next week because there will be a new lady joining Ladies Night next week.
A true promoter. A true promoter. And this brings us right into the world of professional wrestling, man.
Here we are.
WWE talk, man. Let's talk about it.
This
And not
is
just
where it
WWE
starts.
talk, just wrestling talk.
Well,
What has been happening, man? Because Lord knows I have not been watching.
so let's start with you because I mean you haven't been, you know.
Yeah,
been a
let's talk
month.
about it. Let's talk about it. What we want to
So,
talk about?
So you didn't catch WrestleMania, right?
I did. I didn't catch it live, but I did catch all. I did watch all of WrestleMania. Yes, I did.
Okay, well, we don't need to talk about all of it. We'll just talk about one specific thing.
I know what you're gonna talk about.
The main event of night one.
Yeah.
I've been waiting a whole month to hear your thoughts. Let's hear it. Let's hear how you feel. Tell us how you feel.
All right. So this is my honest thoughts. All right. It was good to see Stone Cold Steve Austin out, doing his thing. So the segment started out just as expected. He came, Kevin Owens did his whole talk show thing, invited Stone Cold out. Stone Cold did his thing, double back, got the four-wheeler, rolled it down, did all the things, all the Stone Cold things. It was a great promo. Because of course that's not surprising at all. Kevin Owens does a great promo. They had a good back and forth. Kevin Owens, and during the segment, was like, "Hey, I didn't invite you here to talk. I invited you here for a fight." And of course, as expected, they had a match. Now, the match was as expected. It wasn't a technical blowout. In fact, Stone Cold after a certain point wasn't known for his technical abilities because of his neck injury. But it started off slow, and you can kind of tell Kevin Owens was trying to protect him. As they were going outside, he was, making sure that he, did all of the moves, connected, and they fought around, and they made their way up to the stage area. And then that's when you kind of seen Stone Cold kind of use some muscle memory when he was doing the back body drops. That's when he started to snap his moves. I'm like, okay, now he's starting to feel it a little bit. And what happened, they made their way down to the ring, stunner, and then the beers flew, and then the people came in and got stunned. I mean, it was what expected. It was really good. It was really entertaining. But as far as the wrestling part, it wasn't like the Stone Cold matches of old where they really got into it. But it was as expected, of someone that's just coming off a 19-year hiatus to come back to wrestling. And so it wasn't bad.
Now, you talk about the moves. Do you think that the moves really mattered in that scenario?
Not at all. Not at all. What really mattered was Stone Cold getting his stuff in. He got his stuff in. He got his promo in. He got the stunner in.
Well,
made the people come home happy, celebrated with the beers, He's happy. He got into the ring again. It was good. It was a feel good situation.
I just want to point out that not only did he get to come in and do all the stuff that he's done, but just think about this. Like, you're at WrestleMania. There's people who are watching wrestling when we were watching it when we were younger. Now we were on the younger end of the Attitude Era fans, because we were like 13, 14, 15, during those peak years.
Mm-hmm.
And like, think about it like this. You had people who were 20 at that time, right? You're 20 and now you're 40, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You have a kid. And if you really like something and you showing your kids some things, by the way, kids shouldn't see, but
yeah, some of that Attitude Era stuff.
But if that's some stuff you were into and they have that 13, 14, 15-year-old kid now, like, they can go and see, maybe their kid likes the stuff that they see on video or whatever. They are able to experience that and be able to cheer and all that type of stuff in Dallas, of all places. This is what I'm always trying to say when we're talking about people who from the past. And Austin was the example that I gave. I think the first time I came on the show or talked to you on the show, I said, you mean to tell me if Stone Cold Steve Austin came back, you would have a problem with that? And look at that. Here he comes back. And by the way, did he take away from anything else that happened that night? No, because it was an isolated thing. People were paying to see that because it's obviously something that people were going to pay to see. But look at that. They had to see everything else. They sampled everything else that night before they got to Austin. And the second night, they also sampled everything else except the main event, which was the real, draw of the entire show. They sampled everything else, and then they saw Austin. So, to me, that's the perfect way to do things because he came in, he got more interest in that show than there would have been. And not to say that there wasn't anything good on the show, but that anticipation to see him come out and to see what was going to do, like that is how a show should be. And it reminded me of how shows were, when we were kids. A lot of the matches that were on pay-per-views, especially in the late 80s and early 90s, a lot of those matches weren't really even matches that were built up, but they were matches that they threw on there. But the big thing was you were waiting to see the match at the end of the show. One of my favorite WrestleManias, which is one that a lot of people tend to not like, but WrestleMania 5, you were waiting to see the Mega Powers explode. And there was a lot of other matches on the show. You saw everybody, which is another thing. People talk about how, now everybody's on the WrestleMania as opposed to how it used to be. And, I always say, like, WrestleMania's always had everybody on it. Mm-hmm. And you put what's going to get people interested in, you put that last, and you get a sample of everything else so that maybe more people will tune in and want to come back. But I feel like overall they gave people a very good experience, more so on night one than night two. Night two had that Johnny Knoxville thing that, that wasn't for me. But, I like the Austin stuff, for what it was.
What? Funny you mentioned that. I didn't think it was for me either. But doggone it, I laughed more in that match than anything on two shows. I was laughing my ass off.
Did you grow up watching Jackass?
No, I didn't watch the show.
I've never seen it either.
I've never watched the show, but I know the characters just by passing.
I don't know any of them except Johnny Knoxville.
And I don't know. It was like one of those situations where I'm like, why am I laughing at this? And then that's just like, I just let myself go like, okay, this is what it is. I know this ain't a real match. I know what it is. It's supposed to be comedy. That's what it is. It's not really a serious match. what's his name really did a good job with carrying the whole thing. You know, he played it up really well for what it was. But I actually was entertained by that. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Sami Zayn's going to do his part. It's just stuff like that. It's not
Sami
for me.
Zayn.
But my problem with stuff like that is that wrestling's kind of got to a point where when people think of wrestling, they think, the silly stuff. And I don't like the fact that that's the first thing that's associated with wrestling. On the other show, they do a lot of silly stuff that kind of takes away from, the interest that fans really want. And I get that there's a segment of people that would like that, but I also get the feeling that same segment of people would also like the show just as much if there was other stuff that was actually compelling and interesting on it as well.
And see, this is the thing. You see, imagine now watching it in just a standalone match. It was funny, but it stops being funny when every other match is one of those comic relief kind of deals, right? It's the same thing with the wrestlers coming back. Like you said, and I agree with you, the way they rolled the Austin match out was perfect. The way they did it was nice. But then when you start bringing Austin back for this, and then you bring them back for that, then you bring them back for, and it's like,
but that's not what they do at all.
Yes, they do. Have you seen The Undertaker? Have you seen Goldberg matches? Like when they brought back Goldberg the first time, okay, great. But
you're talking about
start bringing them back for what was the Saudi Arabia shows?
But again, that's Saudi Arabia where they're paying a premium amount of money to get those matches because, again, to the point that I was making earlier, those people in Saudi Arabia, whatever you may think of them, however you may think of them, the people in Saudi Arabia, it's not like in 1998, the WWF was like, all right, Hartford, Connecticut, and then we're going to Saudi Arabia. They did not do that. Though the people in Saudi Arabia did not get to see these people firsthand. So it makes total sense to me that the people in Saudi Arabia will pay a premium amount of money to get Shawn Michaels to wrestle because those people never saw Shawn Michaels wrestle in person.
I get it, but it was sad that last one doing Shawn Michaels. It was not.
Wait a minute.
It was sad.
Going back to the example that we gave of Kevin Durant, in that match, the last person you could blame for that match not being good was Shawn Michaels.
I know.
Everybody else, Kane's thing coming off, the Undertaker wasn't on.
I'm not blaming Shawn Michaels. I'm just saying the whole situation was sad. It was sad.
Again, like I said, and it was also extremely hot over there too, which is also a factor in a couple of the other matches. But
listen, I always bring up the example that Jim Cornette, and he's probably not the best person to bring up because he hates everything.
No, he doesn't.
But Jim Cornette, I can't really. This is a family show, but he brings up talks about the elephant doing something in the backyard. You see him.
Yes.
Look at this. Wow. The elephant's out there. But then after day 2, day 3 of seeing the elephant out there, like, okay, there's the elephant again.
I think that there's a part that's missing, which is perspective. You have been someone who has watched this for, let's call it 30 years, right?
Yeah.
I'm somebody who's watched this for 30 plus years at this point, but you also have to remember we're not the only part of the audience. There's kids out there. And again, this is one of these things that is a unique problem in today's society, because when we were kids, if somebody were to say, hey, look at this stuff from 1955, in the 80s, or 1959 and 1989, 30 years prior, we would have been like, I don't know. That's in black and white. It doesn't really look that good. Everything looks old at that point. But now, this is 2022. And if we were to say, look at something from, let's see, 12 to 1992, there's people who will go out and watch that British Bulldog and Bret Hart match from Wembley Stadium in 1992 as if it's new because it doesn't look old like the stuff that we would have watched. Yes, it wasn't in high definition, but there's
True. I've been watching stuff from the 80s. I found a little channel on YouTube that shows like the old WWE from 86, 87, 88.
yeah, you can find all that stuff. But my point is, and also to that point, is more accessible now. You can see all that stuff in full color, so it doesn't look as old. So believe it or not, there's people who are discovering this stuff, for the first time, and like it. And even though they're not watching it in real time, they like those people. That's why you have the conventions that do so well now, is because people can go back and see so much of this stuff and discover this stuff for the first time, in their own eyes, to where, there's a market for seeing people who, yeah, they may be older, but they can still go. AEW has Sting. Sting is like 62 or 63 right now. And he's doing way more crazier stuff than
I seen that, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on?
But you know what though? The people there, they like Sting. And a lot of those people who are watching AEW didn't grow up in real time being able to see Sting live. They didn't see him in real time doing stuff. They've heard the name from parents like us, or their older, uncles or brothers or whatever, dads. So they see that stuff and they see 1997 in 2022 like it's just happening. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but it's it's great as name recognition for those guys to come back. I was using the example when we were talking about this over our chat, and I said, you know what will draw money? If Michael Jordan in 2022 would come back in a slam dunk competition, or Ken Griffey Jr. coming back in a home run derby. Yeah, it will draw money. It'll draw eyes. It'll be two athletes that we've seen as kids come in, and we admired doing their thing. But I said, is it really going to be any good?
Now, wait a minute. Let's go back for a second. The Jordan one is not a good example because
why not?
Because to be able to do dunks, he might not have the same ability. But wait a minute though. Wait a minute. Ken Griffey Jr. hitting home runs? Wait a minute. You don't think Ken Griffey Jr. could probably still hit home runs?
Did you see Ken Griffey Jr. recently go in there in the batting cage and hit a few?
How'd he look?
For the first few, he hit some, and then he started to slow down. He was like, I quit. I can't.
Okay, but now wait a minute. Because let's play this out for a second. If the MLB would have started this season and said, we really, we had an off season that kind of threw people off. People weren't really happy. The season was kind of delayed. We want to do something that's going to kind of make people remember, bring in fans that were from the past. Does the home run derby, does it have any consequence? Is there any consequence to it? No. You mean to tell me that if somebody were to say, and again, I didn't see what Ken Griffey Jr. looked like in that footage, but you mean to tell me that Ken Griffey Jr. couldn't get himself into enough shape to do a home run derby in July if they wanted to use that?
In July, in the home run derby, it's tough on athletes that are active athletes now.
What I'm saying is,
to bring them back, yes, it will draw people. Yes. But as the contest goes along, you're going to quickly see that this ain't the Ken Griffey Jr. I remember.
Now, again, to what I'm trying to bring out though is that if they said right now, or if they would have said before the season started, "Hey, Griffey, we want you for the home run derby. Let's find another player that's pretty good at it." I can't think of one off the top of my head. That's
Mark McGwire.
Nah, he was older than Griffey at that time. But okay, let's take Mark McGwire. Let's say
Sammy Sosa then. Sammy Sosa.
Let's take the three of them. Okay, let's take the three of them and say that they're not broken down to the point where they can barely walk. But let's say that they're still athletic enough. Mark McGwire should be, because isn't he still like hitting coach with somebody? right now?
He was.
So let's say that the season was about to start. They say, hey, we want to do something. 2028 wouldn't have been a good example, but let's say they would have done this in 2018. You know, to remember 1998, we were going to do this in 2018. We say, okay, we're gonna get these 3 players, and we're going to get some of our best players, and we're going to get more eyes on this because we take these 3 players and we say, okay, we're going to put you in the home run derby. If you start getting into shape now, you're not playing games every day that's draining your body. If they started working out now, they could probably get enough in for that home run derby. Dude, does that mean that they're going to hit like they hit in 1998? No, not necessarily. But can they be competent? They could be. And what I'm saying, though, is do you think that would draw eyes in for the All-Star game, which is supposed to be a celebration of baseball?
Listen, they already do something like that now. It's called celebrity softball. And if you've ever watched the celebrity softball games, the outfield wall is pushed in.
But that's a game. You're talking about a full game. I'm talking about simple, just hitting balls, batting practice.
It is competing in the home run derby is very taxing. It's very taxing. It's like running a marathon. I mean, when you swinging a bat
again
over and over, and they're not young. They're not young. They're in their 50s, and they're in their 50s at this point. When you take an Austin,
when you take a Goldberg, Undertaker, whatever, they're mostly asking them to do stuff like that once a year at most. So,
but they're not going to look the same. They're not going to look the same. Like everybody wanted to see Undertaker and Sting.
No, I didn't. But
I know. Well, maybe not you, but people out there wanted to see Undertaker and Sting. But I'm thinking in my head, this would have been good in 2000, 2001. This would have been awesome.
But Kelsey,
but in 2019.
But to that point, one, the match never made any sense to me because who are you supposed to cheer for? Who are you supposed to boo? I get the standoff at the beginning of the match sounds appealing and good for people, but then people don't really think about what happens after the bell. Second thing is both those guys are older. That was the problem with the Goldberg Undertaker match. It sounded good on paper, but again, why would you put those two against each other? Because who are you supposed to cheer? Who you're supposed to boo? You put somebody like that against somebody younger. Which is what they normally do. That the Goldberg Undertaker match, again, I have to believe that was something that was asked of them by the people in Saudi Arabia, and they delivered it knowing, okay, we'll give this to you. Not going to be that good, but all right, that's what you want. But again, when Goldberg faced Dolph Ziggler, it was exactly as it should have been. Goldberg comes in. Basic squash, basic Goldberg matches.
Because the younger guy was able to make the older guy look good.
Yeah, but that's how wrestling is anyway. I mean, that's the case in any.
I mean, in any sport, but I mean, it's almost like, I don't know, like Brock Lesnar versus Eddie Guerrero, or not Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. In real life, Brock Lesnar can destroy them, right? Yeah. But if in a wrestling terms, they can have a good match because they know how to dance together, so to speak.
That's the point. And you pair people up. That should always be something that's considered whenever you put matches.
But when you're older and you can't do the things that you used to do back in the day.
Well, but that's why the stuff I said with Austin made sense, because by the time 1998 rolled around, the match that Austin had there was the same match he would have had in 1999. The earlier in the match, if I'm not mistaken, I think I know what you were talking about with the slower part. When he was doing those stomps, at first I thought, oh, he's kind of moving kind of slow, and then I realized what he was actually doing, and the crowd wasn't actually catching on. he was stomping them, thinking that the crowd was going to say, "What?"
Right.
But they were saying 1, 2, and he's.
Right.
I think that he was like, "What? Huh?" But I mean, there was nothing in that match that was done any differently than he would have done it before. And like the WWE in the past is, and they've done this even when Goldberg was, even in the 2003 run, they had Goldberg doing stuff that Goldberg had no business doing at that time. Again, you know, Goldberg was never like this, hey, go out here and have a 14-minute match guy.
Oh, not at all.
And then in 2003, they were like, hey, Goldberg, go 20 minutes. Let's have 20-minute matches. It was like, why would you do
It ain't
that?
gonna happen because he didn't do it when he's younger. But you know, I guess the moral of this story is, man, look, I guess whatever draws money, you know, just throw it out there.
Isn't that the point? It's the point.
It don't mean that's not gonna change my thoughts on it. I guess it's a stalemate for now, I guess. You know. But hey, it's wrestling. It's entertainment, right?
That's it. That's sports entertainment. That's what it is. Sports
Entertainment. Well, I tell you what, this has been an entertaining show. We've started out with 4. We should have had 5 or 6.
This is why you don't use track phones on the internet.
Started out with 4. Person's internet needed milk. Someone else had prior engagements. It just left us to like old school. Well, I tell you what, this matchup right here didn't go out of style. I tell you like that. You know? We may be 20 years in, but this
25 years still main eventing.
Still main eventing this match. Still main eventing the man cave. So don't forget, before I leave, you've got to tune in next Wednesday night for Ladies' Night. It's every first Wednesday of the month. And as T-Bone mentioned, there is a new lady at Ladies' Night. Who could it be? Tune in to find out next week on Ladies' Night. And every Wednesday, you got to tune in to the Platform Sports Talk Show on all the platforms, YouTube, Roku, Facebook, all those things, and our new platform, so to speak, Hot 365 Radio. Shout out to Hot 365 Radio for having us on. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate the listeners listening in tonight. And of course, every last Wednesday, you're going to catch us men in the man cave. So for T-Bone Funk, Brendan, Stanton, and myself, all of us here at the man cave, and our faithful producer backstage, the smooth one, we bid you adieu. Good night.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace out. We out of here. Power up on them.